Hey, one of the things that we hear from our clients all the time is, how do I stand out? There's a million people in the marketplace who sound like me, who do what I do, who have the same expertise and training that I have. And what it does is it exhausts us when it comes to our marketing, because we just feel like we're just more white noise in the space. So today, Claudia and I are talking about how to differentiate yourself, how to make yourself a unicorn in a very noisy online market.
Good luck.
Yes. No, not good luck. That's what we're here to share with people.
Okay.
Why don't we get started with your perspective?
I think that a lot of people, when they become entrepreneurs, they kind of forget the life they had before. Mm-hmm. And they need to bring that into the mix of who makes them, because we are the sum of our experiences, right? Mm-hmm. So, for instance, I have a client who was a lawyer, or is still a lawyer, though he doesn't practice anymore, and he became a coach. And he asked me exactly the same question. There are so many coaches, and coaching is not a profession. You don't need to be qualified as a coach to be called a coach. So there is a lot of people who call themselves coaches and they are not even prepared. So how do I differentiate myself? Mm-hmm. And the trick is that if he combines his experience as a lawyer and positions himself as the ideal coach for lawyers, because he has gone through it. He knows the stress lawyers feel, and he can speak their language. And not only that, but when you are finally in the coaching sessions and the lawyers fall into their jargon or into the things, he can understand that better. So he's now learning to bring that into his message and into his communication, because that separates him from other coaches. And it doesn't mean he cannot be a coach for other people, okay? Because he's actually an executive coach. So everybody who wants to grow in their career are in good hands with him. But he's even the right choice, the better choice for coaches, coaches who are at lawyers, because he understands their challenges. Right. So you can create a mix of your previous experiences, and that makes you only a richer professional and allows you to create richer experiences. For instance, in your case, the way you incorporate teaching into everything you do is remarkable.
I have to, but what I'm hearing is, this doesn't mean that that's who you niche down to necessarily. Like, he doesn't have to be a coach for lawyers, and I don't have to be a content creator or a business coach for people who are teachers coming into the entrepreneurial space. We're talking about blending who you were with who you are becoming. And I have to say, I really wanted for a long time to kind of like tamp down the fact that I was a teacher, that I wanted people to stop thinking of me as a teacher. I wanted them to think of me as a business person who had brought to life businesses and understands the pathway to do that. But it was only kind of recently that I realized, like, oh, the teaching part of me keeps popping up.
Showing up, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I had the same thing, because I'm a marketing generalist, and I do really spend a lot of time remaining as a marketing generalist. It means I need to read about search engine optimization, websites, design, branding, communication, content, and that takes a lot of time. It really takes a lot of time, because I need to be knowledgeable on an ocean wide of things, not necessarily in depth, but enough depth to then orient my clients into who would be the best specialist for them, because they need somebody who keeps this helicopter view of the situation, right? Otherwise, you will be spending a lot of money thinking your issue is content and it's mindset, or vice versa, right?
Right.
And for a long time, I struggled because I was surrounded by specialists. The moment I realized that, in my eyes, and no offense intended, that specialist is, in my eyes, the easy way out. You only focus on one thing. Being a generalist kind of came higher in the ranking for me. And I still think, that makes me special, because there are less and less generalists. And I think entrepreneurs need somebody they can talk to about the different aspects of their business. And then And that is my difference. That is where I leverage.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what makes you a unicorn is that you can see the overarching 30,000 feet up in the air view and then direct people to what they need exactly in these different realms, because not everybody has the same problem.
Yes, and even in that, I do specialize because I focus in marketing foundations, right? So finding your ideal client, your message, and fine-tuning your offer. Besides that, I do branding and I do websites. I don't push that in my message. But when clients say, do you know somebody, or I see the problems, I can help them. And it's very nice for them because we are already working together and they understand. But I don't push it in my message, and I don't have it on my website either.
Right. So the making yourself a unicorn is kind of weaving in all of the things that make you unique instead of suppressing them or ignoring them. Like if somebody's told you that you have to be a specialist, I really want people to think about their experience, their training, and how can they fold it in and embrace it?
Yeah, definitely. And embracing it is, I think it's the hardest part, because you are pushed by all these forces in the market, and the natural, even I say to my clients, choose one client, choose one message.
Yes. We do say that all the time, right?
But that doesn't mean you're dropping the other things. It means that you are focusing your time and your resources into the path that will deliver you results faster.
Well, I think I want to just stop here for a second, because I'm basically in a comment I just said, embrace the aspect of yourself that makes you special, which for a lot of us, we either haven't thought about it or we haven't recognized it because we're like swimming in it and it just doesn't seem that special. Like for me, teaching is like breathing to me. I don't really think that it's special until I watch somebody else try to teach something and I'm like, oh, I'm trained specifically in this and it's part of my natural proclivities. So one of the things I really want to say is when you are looking at what makes me special, you might need somebody to reflect it back to you. And so you might need to talk through that with somebody. And for you, the insights that you have when you work one-on-one with somebody, or even just have a conversation, the intuition you have and the fact that you can get laser focused is, I don't know if you take it for granted, but it's not something that everybody is good at, and it is what makes you special. But because it comes so naturally to you, you might think like, oh, that isn't anything special. So I just want to ask people to think about what does come naturally to them and acknowledge that it is probably the thing that makes them special.
Yeah, and if you have something negative, it can always be turned around. Because, for instance, I was trying to see what could go wrong. My father was an industrial engineer, and when I was a kid, I would go with him to the construction area. And the first thing he said was, be careful here, be watchful there, and for the rest, you can do whatever. My first job at the oil industry was exactly the same thing, Be careful here because this well can explode. That can go wrong. So, and born and raised in Venezuela, where nothing went according to plan, I had to be extra watchful what could go wrong. And it kind of became very ingrained with me. So I am trained to see what can go wrong. But when you turn it, that allows me to see what's not working in a business so very fast.
Yes.
And I can help my clients that way to plug the holes.
Yeah.
But that, for a long time, everybody said to me, you are so negative. You are so negative. You only see the bad thing. And it was hard. But then I realized, no, somebody said to me, Claudia, have you seen how fast you are? That is the good side of being trained to see where it can go wrong, is that you can see very quickly what it's not working.
Yeah.
So if people is criticizing on you, something on you, pay extra attention to it and don't let it wear you down, but ask questions, Ask
like,
questions.
how is this
you can turn it around. Yes.
Yeah, almost like, how is this a gift for me? How is this something that I can, that I actually use to propel myself or to help other people? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about is your piece is examine your unique journey to create your uniqueness in the marketplace. And what I want to ask people then is, what kind of unique voice does that give you? How do you say things? What kind of language do you use? What's your what's your tone, what's your style, what are all the things that come together based on all the things you've done, all the trainings you've had, all the pieces and parts kind of synthesizing together. How does that create a voice for you? And I think people really struggle with voice. We're actually going to talk about it next month we're going to talk about it in December inside my membership site and really teach it. But we can talk about it here because people think, first of all, I need to sound like everybody else. And I think there's nothing more untrue, because if you sound like everybody else, you just become white noise.
Yes, I think voice is something that you find in time. Of course, you need some guardrails for your brain to identify what works in your voice and what is your voice, right? And one of the things is, when do you shine? When do you feel less, how would you say, less uncomfortable? When do you feel most natural? That is most probably your voice, right? But it's hard to be consistent with your voice, because our moods change, and we have hard days. So there are things that allow you to be consistent with your voice, but you need to identify it. And for instance, also identify what is the format in which your voice comes out more naturally. So we've discussed this in the past, and it's already an icon of example, but I always complain that when I write, I am boring and I am serious, and while when I talk, I am more natural, and you can, you can like or not my sense of humor, or not my directness, but it comes when I speak. It is softer than when I talk, and when I write, my thought is more structured and it's more organized. So that takes out the spontaneity of my voice and of my personality. So you also, finding your voice definitely is something that happens in a period of time, and you just have to be very alert to the signals and keep working on it.
Yeah. How would you describe your voice?
Irreverent.
Mm-hmm.
I am irreverent. I am transparent. And in everything I share, I try to teach people something that solves a problem they have.
Yep.
That is essentially my voice.
Who do you tend to follow of the people that you really like to see, who come into your email inbox or you follow online? What voices do you tend to be drawn to?
The voices that are, in some aspects like mine, transparent and direct, but have a sweetness that I feel I don't have. So for instance, you. You have a sweetness that is not sticky. When it's too, then I don't like it. But I am like a train and go straight, and you are like softer. And both methods work, I would use yours first. And then call
That's why we're a good team. Yeah.
But both things work, and those are the voices that attract me. People who are very clear and are generous with what they know, and they don't do stingy. I am not going to share it because they. So,
I was thinking about my voice. The ones that I'm attracted to are very similar. They're direct. They're light. They're fun. There's a couple of people I have unfollowed because they don't fit me anymore. And like you said, finding your voice is really a journey. And sometimes your voice will change over time. I have found that my voice did change over time. When I started in business, I was much more of a let's get this done, productivity, almost like a harder edge. But I have softened over time because in my personal life, I have also softened. I don't drive myself the way that I used to drive myself. So my voice has softened a little bit. And if someone is looking for a harder edge, I'm not that person, and that's fine. Our voice is not for anybody. But I do think while your voice is evolving and you're finding your voice, it's important to know that you're not for everybody, and that some people will fall off, and that is just part of the entire process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And so
but
one
it's
of the
like
things,
branding, you set up a branding, you start, and as your business evolves and you have good and bad experiences, and you see what works and what doesn't work and how people react, you take a step back and review your branding and fine tune it. So,
Yes.
but you need to have a foundation to work on, So it's like marketing. You need to have a foundation. Who's your ideal client? What is your message? What is the offer you're bringing? What is the content? What is your voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you see that, then the things that happen, then you can see how your evolution is and how you want to incorporate it. Or notice that you're derailing completely and course correct.
While you're talking about the evolution, one of the things you want to consider is what does your audience need? So I used to really think about this one aspect of my audience, especially in the beginning. They were very resistant to planning, and so I would kind of drive them with the no, we're going to get it done, we're going to get it done, we're going to get it done. And as my voice changed, my audience changed too, and it's less we're going to get it done, we're going to get it done, and more like, hey, what choices are you making? Like more reflective in that way. So the last thing I wanted to say about voice in your content is know your audience, know who you want to work with, what voice will go along with that. But you really do need to be true to yourself. And again, it's all a experimentation, like folding in what is your audience and what does your audience need and who is your audience, and who are you, and how do those things work together? And just remembering it is evolution, not it's not
and
static.
You have to keep an eye on the market, because sometimes the market changes,
as it has right now. I think
where your
it's really
people
happening.
and your product isn't changing. So, for instance, this is more noticeable with products instead of services. But let's suppose you have a bakery and you bake healthy muffins, if that's possible. But let's suppose you bake healthy muffins, no gluten, no sugar, nuts, etc. And you market them as healthy muffins. So the people leaving the gym in front of your bakery come to your bakery because they are buying healthy muffins. The bakery next to you bakes exactly the same muffins, but it calls it keto muffins. So the product is the same, the people is the same, but the market has changed because keto is now the same thing. So people is all moving towards that, and you have to keep that in mind to make sure that you continue leveraging on your uniqueness, because that is what prevents you from falling into these kind of gray areas where the market sways and you can't manage it.
Well, I want to just say that if you are struggling with feeling like you're a unicorn and you feel like, oh, I'm just like a generalist that can't find my footing, one of the things that can help is having your own signature system that is created for you. We find your people, your system, your content, and your voice emerges from that. And that's the work that Claudia and I do together. And so I invite you to get on her calendar. I've linked to the Bridge to More website, which is where you can find more about Claudia. But I'm going to also put the how you can learn more about our signature system. It's called Your Signature System, and you will get a program that is designed specifically for you, help you become a unicorn in the marketplace so that you know what to say that actually sounds like you and feels like you, so that you can work with the people that are just right for you.
And work with the two of us.
And work with the both of us. Yes. Thank you, Claudia, for, again, your insights today. I always love our Monday chats.
See you next week.
Bye.